There is a code of silence in the European workshops that today we are going to break. Forget the bright advertisements. The mechanics are seeing entering tow trucks with models 2025 that are authentic financial suicides. We speak of engines that there is to remove completely for a basic repair and luxury SUVs with bills of 4 figures for a simple sensor. Congratulations, the car of your dreams is in this black list and your bank account is the objective. Today we reveal the 18 forbidden models, much eye to the Post 4, because its failure of design is a mortal trap for your pocket. We start. Post 18, Fiat 500-X. We start in the Post 18 with the Fiat 500X. This crossover promised Italian style with capabilities of SUV practical. Starting in €24,990, it seemed a bargain. But the mechanics they hate for a reason devastating. The engine, 1.3 multi-jet diesel. The chain of distribution needs replacement every 60,000 kilometers. The work requires to remove the engine complete. They are 14 hours of labor. The cost total, €3,200 minimum. A mechanic of Frankfurt me told, "We have seen 3 500X with engines destroyed because the owners not could pay the maintenance preventive. The engine, 1.4 multi-air of gasoline, not is better. The accumulation of carbon is so fast that the Italian mechanics they call il disastro. You need cleaning of valves of admission every 30,000 kilometers. They are €450 each time. The prices of parts of Fiat are another problem. A thermostat simple costs €380. The same part for a Volkswagen, €85. The depreciation counts the story. The 500X of 3 years retain only the 38% of their value. It is worse than any competitor. Post 17, Nissan Juke. The Post 17 is the Nissan Juke. The second generation, launched in 2019, supposedly was going to fix the problems of the first. Not it worked. Starting in €22,900, the transmission CVT is a nightmare for the mechanics. The 31% of the Dukes of the 2020 to the 2023 experienced tremor, groan, or failure complete before the 50,000 kilometers. The replacement costs €4,100. But here is the trick. The fluid CVT of Nissan requires change every 30,000 kilometers, not the 60,000 that says the manual. If not you it do, your warranty remains void. The engine, 1.0D IGT of 3 cylinders turbo, presents another horror. The guides of the chain of distribution have wear premature that causes a rattle of death to the start. A mechanic of Amsterdam me warned, when you listen that rattle, you have maybe 1,000 kilometers before the failure catastrophic. The repair requires removal of the engine, €2,800 minimum. The problem's electrical plague each system. The ProPilot applies the brakes randomly. The infotainment itself freezes daily. The controls of the key leave off to work in climate cold. Post 16, Citroën C4 Picasso. In the Post 16, we have the Citroën C4 Picasso, later called Space Tourer. This MPV attracts to the families with its practicality and then destroys the family budgets with repairs endless. The models of the 2013 to the 2018 are particularly problematic. The box of changes manual automated called EGS is despised universally by the mechanics. A technician of Hamburg called Klaus Weber explains, "The actuator of the clutch fails every 40,000 kilometers like a clock. They are €1,200 each time. We have seen clients spend €3,600 in actuators before finally scrapping the car." But the nightmare reel is the system DPF of the engine, 1.6 HDI diesel. It regenerates every 200 kilometers in driving city, burning fuel extra and destroying the turbo. When inevitably it itself clogs completely, the replacement costs €2,400. The problems of suspension add insult to the injury. The bearings of the axle rear fail around the 60,000 kilometers. They are €800 per side. The suspension pneumatic in the versions of equipment high, a failure of airbag, costs €1,100. The majority of the owners simply live with the car sitting lopsided. Post 15, Range Rover Evoque. The Post 15 is the Range Rover Evoque. Paying €45,000 not guarantees reliability. The mechanics fear to see these arrive. A workshop of Milan really charges a surcharge for difficulty for the repairs of the Evoque. The engine's ingenium are catastrophically little reliable. According to the provider of warranties of the United Kingdom Warranty-Wise, the 67% of the Evoque of the 2016 to the 2020 suffer failures major of the engine before the 80,000 kilometers. The culprit usual, the stretching of the chain of distribution that causes damage catastrophic to the valves. Cost of repair, €8,500 for an engine reconstructed. The transmission automatic of 9 speeds adds another layer of misery. The failures of software cause changes violent, while the failures mechanical abandon the drivers without warning. The solution of Land Rover, updates of software that cost €400 and not fix nothing. The replacement complete of the transmission costs €6,200. Post 14 BMW X1. The Post 14 is the BMW X1. Starting in €39,900, the buyers expect reliability German. In change, they obtain bills of repair German. The generation F48 of the 2015 to the 2022 is particularly problematic. The problem of the chain of distribution affects to all the engines of 4 cylinders. To difference of the chain's normal that lasts 200,000 kilometers or more, the one of BMW itself stretches to the 40,000 kilometers. The rattle of death in the starts cold means that already it is too late. The repair, complete with guides, tensioners and labor, €3,400. A specialist of BMW in Munich affirms, "We see 2 X1 weekly with failures of chain of distribution. Not it is if it will happen, but when. But wait until you hear about the box of transfer." The bearings of the box of transfer of the system of traction in the 4 wheels itself disintegrate around the 60,000 kilometers. The symptoms include noises of grinding and vibrations. Cost of replacement, €400–200. BMW initially denied that the problem existed, then extended the warranties silently, but only if the clients itself complained sufficiently loud. Post 13, Opel Crossland. In the Post 13 is the Opel Crossland. This represents all the bad of the SUVs of budget modern. Starting in €22,000, it seems affordable until the bills of repair arrive. The mechanics particularly despise the models of the 2017 to the 2020. The engine 1.2 PureTech of gasoline shared with Peugeot brings horrors familiar. The belt of distribution wet itself disintegrates in the system of oil, destroying everything that it touches. A mechanic Belgian called Philippe Martins explains, "For the time that the owners notice Operation Rough, the damage is done. We are talking of €4,000 for a reconstruction complete of the engine in a car of €22,000. The transmission automatic of 6 speeds adds complexity without reliability. The failures of solenoid cause changes rough and failure complete eventual. The availability of parts is abysmal. An owner of Birmingham waited 7 weeks for a module of control of transmission. Cost total of repair, €3,100. Post 12, Mercedes Class A. The Post 12 proves that a badge of Mercedes not guarantees quality. The W177 Class A, launched in 2018, has the mechanics shaking their heads with incredulity. Starting in €32,800, the buyers expect reliability premium but obtain problems premium. The engine of 1.3 litres co-developed with Renault is a disaster. The failures of gasket of cylinder head occur as early as at the 30,000 kilometers. The symptoms, white smoke, loss of coolant, overheating led to a result, €3,800 by replacement of gasket of cylinder head. A mechanic of Stuttgart warns, "We are seeing cars of 20 months with gasket of cylinder head blown. It is without precedence for Mercedes." The transmission of clutch double brings its own nightmares. The tremor of the clutch affects to the 45% of the cars according to Forum's Automotive Germans. The unit mechatronic fails without warning, abandoning the drivers. The solution of Mercedes? To replace the transmission complete by €5,200. The warranties extended specifically exclude this element of wear. Post 11, Volkswagen T-Roc. The Post 11 impacted everyone for being little reliable. The reputation of VW by engineering solid itself crumbles with this SUV compact. Starting in €27,000, it is expensive of to buy and ruinous of to maintain. The system of deactivation of cylinders of the engine, 1.5 TSY, is fundamentally flawed. When it changes between 2 and 4 cylinders, the consumption of oil excessive begins. We are talking of 1 litre per 1,000 kilometers. The response of VW, that is within the parameters normal. Meanwhile, the mechanics see cylinders scratched and rings of piston damaged at the 50,000 kilometers. Replacement of the engine, €6,500. The problems of the transmission DSG persist in spite of years of fixes. The unit of clutch dry D, Q200 tremors, itself overheats and fails catastrophically. A workshop of Berlin replaces 3 transmissions DSG weekly, cost €3,900. The DQ381 of clutch wet, not is better. The failures of the unit mechatronic are endemic. Post 10 Ford Kuga hybrid plug-in. In the Post 10 is the Ford Kuga hybrid plug-in. Starting in €39,500, it promised efficiency and reliability. In change, it delivered complexity and catastrophe. The mechanics actively warn the clients in its against. The problems of cooling of the system hybrid are legendary. The battery itself overheats, limiting the power and finally failing completely. The pack of battery of replacement, €12,000, more than many cars complete. The call of Ford by risk of fire affected to 20,000 vehicles Europeans, but the fix not addressed the problems underlying. The engine of 2.5 litres of cycle Atkinson drinks oil like a diesel burns AdBlue. 2 litres per 1,000 kilometers not is unusual. Ford affirms that it is normal. The mechanics know better. The rings of piston are undersized, causing blow-by and failure eventual of the engine. A workshop of Copenhagen has 3 Kugas waiting replacements of engine of €7,000. We arrive at the middle of the list of the 18 cars that the mechanics you beg that not you buy in 2025. The next 9 include the nightmare's mechanical worst. Manufacturers' premium of luxury where the price not guarantees reliability. Cars that destroy the bank accounts of their owners and that the workshops hate to work. The number 1 is the worst of all, absolutely devastating. We continue. Post 9, Alfa Romeo Giulia. We start the second chapter in the Post 9 with the Alfa Romeo Giulia. The passion Italian not is equal to reliability. Starting in €42,000, it seduces with beauty and then devastates with bills of repair. Even the specialists of Alfa warn against the property. The accumulation of carbon in the engine of 2 litres turbocharged is extreme. The injection direct without injection of port means that the valves of admission itself clog in 20,000 kilometers. The performance falls, the failures of ignition begin, and eventually itself requires cleaning of carbon of €800. The cleaning annual itself becomes maintenance routine. The automatic of 8 speeds, ZF, excellent in the BMWs, fails in the Giulia. The problems of calibration of the software cause changes violent and wear premature of the clutch. The unit mechatronic fails costly, €3,200 by a replacement. The mechanics Italian report failures of transmission at only 40,000 kilometers. Post 8, Renault Capture. The Post 8 is the Renault Capture. It attracts the buyers with prices competitive from €22,000. Then systematically it destroys their finances with failures mechanical that would embarrass a Lada of the year's 80. The engine 1.3 TCE co-developed with Mercedes combines the worst traits of both companies. Problems of chain of distribution at the 35,000 kilometers, failure of the turbo compressor at the 50,000, consumption of oil excessive all the time. A mechanic of Lyon reports, "We have a bay dedicated to the Capture. It is always full." The transmission of clutch double EDC is worse than the engine. The slipping of the clutch begins at the 30,000 kilometers. The failure complete follows at the 60,000. The replacement costs €4,100. But here is the trick. Renault frequently denies the claims of warranty, citing wear normal. The version hybrid E-Tech adds complexity without reliability. The transmission without clutch shakes violently. The system of management of battery fails, abandoning the drivers. The braking regenerative leaves of to work randomly. An owner of Brussels spent €6,000 in repairs of the system hybrid in 18 months before exchanging it with a loss massive. Post 7, Peugeot 208. The Post 7 is the Peugeot 208, a car so problematic that the mechanics French have a group of support for to deal with them. Starting in €25,500, it seems reasonable until you factor the bills of repair. The belt of distribution wet of the engine 1.2, PureTech not is only bad, it is criminally negligent. At the 40,000 kilometers, the particles of rubber have contaminated the system of oil complete. The belt itself breaks without warning, destroying valves, pistons, and your bank account. Replacement complete of the engine, €5,200. The automatic EAT8, supposedly the option reliable of Peugeot, not it is. The tremor of the converter of torque affects to the 60% of the vehicles according to reports of consumers French. The fix requires replacement of the transmission, €4,500. Some owners go for their third transmission before the 100,000 kilometers. But the nightmare reel is the availability of parts. The chain of supply of Peugeot collapsed after 2020. Components simple like handles of doors take months in to arrive. A workshop of Marseille has been waiting since March of 2024 for a body of throttle. The client still is paying for a car of rental. Post 6 Jaguar E-Pace. The Post 6 is the Jaguar E-Pace. It represents everything that is wrong with the Jaguar Modern. Starting in €42,000, it promises luxury British but delivers reliability of the era of British Leyland. The engine's ingenium are bombs of time. The chains of distribution fail at the 25,000 kilometers. But here is what Jaguar Not You tells. The chain is in the part rear of the engine. The labor alone costs €2,000 before the parts. Bill total, €4,500 if you have luck, €8,000 if the valves are damaged. The transmission ZF of 9 speeds not can handle the torque. The software constantly searches gears. The failure mechanical abandons the drivers without warning. A specialist of Birmingham warns, each E-Pace needs a fund of emergency of €5,000. It will use within 2 years. The failures electrical are systematic. The network can bus complete collapses randomly. The screens of infotainment themselves turn black permanently. The sensors of parking give readings false. The drain of battery kills the car in days. An owner of Manchester had his E-Pace towed 7 times in a year. Post 5, Jeep Compass. The Post 5 exposes the engineering American in its worst moment. The Jeep Compass, starting in €34,000, deceives the buyers Europeans with style rugged and then itself breaks down more than a Fiat of 40 years. The engine 1.3 Firefly Turbo, in spite of its name Happy, is a disaster. The consumption of oil reaches 2 liters per 1,000 kilometers. The system of distribution variable fails catastrophically around the 45,000 kilometers. The shavings metallic circulate, destroying everything. Replacement of the engine, €7,200. The automatic of 9 speeds is infamous among the mechanics. It changes violently, tremors constantly, and fails completely without warning. The updates of software cost €400 and not fix nothing. The replacements of hardware cost €5,500. A workshop of Rome has replaced the transmission of the same client 3 times under warranty. The quality of construction is ridiculous. The handles of the doors themselves break. The regulators of window fail monthly. The door rear itself opens randomly while you drive. The paint itself peels after a winter. The gaps of panel vary by centimeters. A mechanic Portuguese says, "It seems that they assembled drunk." Post 4, Nissan Qashqai. The Post 4 is the Nissan Qashqai. It proves that new not means better. The supposedly totally new model carries forward each problem and then adds nightmares fresh. The system hybrid soft 1.3 DIGT is complication without sense. The generator of start driven by belt fails at the 20,000 kilometers. €1,800 for to replace. The battery of 12 volts dies constantly because the system never charges correctly. The mechanics Spanish report Qashqai new with batteries dead. But the disaster reel is the version e-Power. This hybrid in series drives like a car electric, but itself brakes like 3 cars combined. The engine generator of 1.5 liters works at stress maximum constantly. The gaskets of cylinder head fail at the 15,000 kilometers. The engine electric itself overheats in the traffic. The inverter costs €4,200 when inevitably it fails. Post 3, Mercedes GLA. The Post 3 is the Mercedes GLA. It achieved something special, prices premium with reliability of budget. Starting in €38,000, it is the worst proposal of value in all Europe. The engine M2, 182 of 1.3 liters shared with Renault, brings shame to the star of Mercedes. The leaks of coolant in the cylinders cause hydrolock destruction instant of the engine. The chain of distribution years, another itself stretches to the 30,000 kilometers. A specialist of Stuttgart warns, each GLA will need work major of the engine before the 60,000 kilometers. Budget €5,000 minimum. The transmission of clutch 88GDCT tremors from the day one. The clutches themselves overheat in the traffic of to stop and to start. The unit mechatronic fails costly and repeatedly. The replacement costs €4,800. But here is the scandal. Mercedes knows that it is defective, but not it will withdraw. The failures of the MBUX are endemic. The screen itself delaminates with the heat. The processor itself overheats and itself throttles. The control of voice itself activates randomly. The GLA of an owner of Hamburg called to services of emergency 3 times while it was parked. Mercedes him charged €400 for optimization of software that not fixed nothing. Post 2, Range Rover Vela. The Post 2 is the Range Rover Vela. It is the crown of the car that the mechanics most desperately want that you avoid. Starting in €62,000, not is only expensive of to buy, it is suicide mechanical. Let's start with the engine's ingenium. The versions of gasoline and diesel are catastrophic. The failures of chain of distribution occur at the 20,000 kilometers. But here is the true madness. The repair requires removal complete of the engine, 25 hours of labor, and costs €9,000 minimum. If the chain damaged the valves, engine new by €15,000. The situation of the transmission is equally terrible. The ZF of 9 speeds not can handle the weight and the torque. The software constantly searches gears. The failures mechanical are so common that some dealers store transmissions preventatively. Cost of replacement, €7,500. A specialist of London has seen the same Vela 4 times by problems of transmission, only it has traveled 30,000 kilometers. The problems electrical are of scale biblical. The system of infotainment Touch Pro Duo fails constantly. €3,500 per screen. The compressor of suspension of air itself burns every 20,000 kilometers, €2,200. The handles of doors, electronic leave off to work in climate cold, trapping the occupants. The architecture electrical complete is so problematic that some insurers refuse coverage. Post 1, Land Rover Discovery Sport. And we arrive at the post number 1, the worst of all, the Land Rover Discovery Sport. Starting in €45,000, it combines all the horrors of Land Rover in a pack family supposedly practical. The engine of 2 liters Ingenium diesel has rates of failure of the engine of the 90% before the 100,000 kilometers. The injectors fail every 30,000 kilometers, €1,500 the set. The pump of high pressure itself destroys and costs €3,000. The DPF itself clogs every 15,000 kilometers, €2,000. The turbos explode at the 50,000 kilometers, €2,800. Add all that, and an engine new comes out in €10,000. The transmission automatic of 9 speeds is the worst of the industry. The changes are so violent that the passengers think that they crashed. The updates of software of €700 worsen the problem. The failure of hardware abandons the drivers in middle of the traffic. Replacement, €6,000. A workshop of Birmingham has replaced 5 transmissions in the same Discovery Sport under warranty. It is a record horrible. The system of traction in the 4 wheels terrain response fails completely in use normal. The transfer leaks and makes noise. The differential rear itself locks. The module Holdex itself burns. The repair of the system complete, €8,000. The owners remain stuck in mode of 2 wheels drive. These 18 cars represent everything that is wrong with the engineering automotive modern. Complexity without reliability. Prices premium without quality premium. They share themes common. Engines complicated, transmissions fragile, and systems electrical designed by sadists.